news. Live from KNEC, we have our news anchor Courtney on our top story today, racial equity.
Thank you everyone. Good morning, I'm Courtney Rickard, and today I'm going to be covering a very important topic, racial equity. But first, let me tell you the difference between equality and equity. With equality, every person receives the exact same thing, where with equity, every person gets what they need to be equal. For example, if a state received funding to give area schools new computers, with equality, every school would receive the same number of computers. With equity, schools that had the least number of computers would receive more new computers so that they could have the same number of computers as the other schools, this giving everyone the same opportunity for success. Racial equity. Racial equity occurs when people of all races are given equal opportunity. This means that one's race would no longer determine someone's socioeconomic status. Everyone would have what they need to thrive in their lives. One of the major issues regarding racial equity is that residents of community of color and poor white communities don't have the same resources as those in flourishing white communities. They often must commute to obtain better jobs, receive education, and receive quality health care. This is a social justice issue because minorities are not receiving the same distribution of wealth and opportunities of those living in wealthier white communities. On average, people of color are twice as likely to be unemployed, and the ones that are employed earn nearly 25% less. Now, we are going to go live with Susie Matterhorn, who lives in Cedar Falls. Susie, please tell us about some of the advantages you have living in Cedar Falls.
Live in Cedar Falls, I'm reporter Emily Sminsky, and I'm here with Susie Matterhorn.
Hi, my name is Susie, and I just love living in Cedar Falls. Sparkles and I love going to Natural Grocers and the farmers market. We live an all-natural lifestyle, so we don't eat any gluten, dairy, or sugar. I got my master's in business and financing at the UNI. So now I work at Stiefel Nicholas and drive a Mercedes.
Thank you, Susie. Back to you, Courtney.
Emily and Susie. Now we're going to head over to the east side of Waterloo and talk to Mildred Manning. Mildred, please tell our viewers what it's like living on the east side of Waterloo and some of the resources you have there.
I'm Caitlin Dewald reporting live here in the east side of Waterloo with Mildred Manning. Manning?
Hi, my name is Mildred. I live on the east side of Waterloo. I actually had to drop out of high school to watch my younger siblings because my mom worked 2 jobs. I don't have access to transportation because my mom uses the only car we have, so I don't have access to health care. And the closest store we have is Dollar General.
Interesting. Manning. Back to you, Courtney.
Oh, thank you, Caitlin. According to a survey by the Federal Commissions, shows that disconnected people tend to be poorer, less educated, and they're people of color. Federal statistics show that on average, 69% of American households have broadband at home, whereas 59% of African Americans and 49% of Latinos households have broadbands. Because of a history of housing discrimination and poverty, people of color tend to live in old houses and buildings. Major corporations avoid investing in these communities due to the cost of upgrading infrastructure. This leaves people in these communities without access to internet, which takes away technology jobs and makes it impossible for children to compete with other children. Now moving on to our history analyst, Emily.
Thanks, Courtney, for introducing this social justice issue and getting our viewers up to date on race equity. Let's take a look at the history and basis of this problem. Like Courtney clarified, race equity is providing more resources to the less resourceful areas and giving less to the more resourceful areas to end up with the same goal. The basis of this problem is this: the more people that want to bloom in upcoming areas, the more the gap between equality grows. People want to build in rich neighborhoods, and more people moving into this area brings in more shops and even a bus route in place to keep up with this population jump. With all the jumping new opportunities in the rich neighborhood, the minority-filled poor neighborhoods continue to have less opportunities. Racial equity results when we can't predict who has more advantages and disadvantages. Race equity will only be accomplished when we act justly according to the circumstances for need. Instead of having the attitude that we need to be equal to have equal opportunities, we should look at it from the standpoint that treating everyone equally will just put those with resources that much more ahead of those without resources, creating the same problem that we have to start with. I think that's where the problem lies. It's a nonstop cycle of the same problems not getting solved. This social justice issue, we've tried many things to help alleviate the problem. For example, we've all heard of Equal Opportunities Employer. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission states that this is a law that forbids discrimination when it comes to any aspect of employment, including hiring, firing, pay, job assignments, promotions, layoff, training, and benefits, and any other term or condition of employment. This is put in place to give the minority an equal opportunity for a job. Another example of things the country has done to try and alleviate this pending social justice issue is that some companies are required to have a certain number of minorities fill their employee slots. Because discrimination laws don't guarantee that women or minorities have equal employment opportunities, this helps prevent discrimination, or to have a more diverse workforce. Some employers adopt affirmative action plans. It basically helps recruit minorities and other categories of the workforce to apply for new jobs. This could help significantly in the racial equity because people in the poorer neighborhoods maybe don't have the opportunity to get a good job due to lack of transportation or lack of jobs in that area. With affirmative action plans, this can help balance the ratio of resourceful people getting the good job or promotion and the lack of minorities getting them. The extent of this problem is worldwide. Right now, there are some controversial nation-dividing topics, and racial equity versus racial equality is a big one. Even in our community here in Iowa, the urgent care on the east side of Waterloo recently opened, and this is a huge resource to this area. Before this was open, residents of this area had to drive to the west side, Cedar Falls, or just use the emergency department in Waterloo for their needs. And with some with no means of transportation, this task was difficult due to the length they had to go for healthcare facilities. Now with the urgent care open in this area, we can see it will hopefully show a decreased use of the ER and higher percentages of people in this area getting the help they need. Lastly, who does this affect? Everyone. Although equity is focused on those who need the resources more, the end result benefits everyone. Back to you, Courtney.
Thank you, Emily. Now moving on to Noelle Larson, our community activist.
Thank you, Courtney. So I'm going to be talking about some current practices and methods being used to address racial equity. In 2010, the W.K. Kellogg Foundation launched America Healing in an effort to put structural inequality behind us by first putting it squarely in front of us, understanding it, acknowledging it, and joining together to change it. America Healing is a program for racial healing as a step towards racial equity, and is designed to raise awareness of unconscious biases and inequities so they can help communities heal. Their goal is to support and empower communities in their efforts to dismantle the structures that limit opportunities for vulnerable children. Their work includes a partnership with the Hispanic Center in Western Michigan that is focused on helping Latino communities thrive. The director of the center, Roberto Torres, said that a lot of programs that reach out to Latinos are just a drop in the bucket in terms of solving the issues of our community. He goes on to identify the three main areas where barriers are present: in education, employment, and language. Many Latino children don't have access to early education programs. The center has a preschool program that offers free bilingual education. The center is also tackling the issue of education through its Supporting Our Leaders program for students ages 14 to 24. The program offers academic services, internships, financial training, and other support services. 95% of the program's participants have graduated high school. The Hispanic Center is also working to lift families out of poverty by helping them to obtain adequate job skills and training. They also provide parent training programs to help parents how to actively participate in school board and civic meetings. The center also provides translation services for the city, their police department, and local businesses to eliminate language barriers between these institutions and residents. Another service the center is providing immigration support services to guide their clients through the visa application process. The Hispanic Center was a lifeline for a resident named Marisol. Marisol was a breast cancer survivor and was able to break free from a physically abusive relationship with help from the center. She took English-speaking classes and received civil legal assistance, survivor advocacy services, and transportation as a member of Project Hope. Project Hope stands for Healing, Overcoming, Protecting, and Empowering. This is the kind of empowerment that the center is hoping to bring to the Latino population in West Michigan. That more communities need to look at the Hispanic Center in West Michigan as a guide on how to serve our community's minorities and less privileged populations. They are providing more help where it is needed to try and give these minorities a step in the right direction to equity and therefore equality. Like Torres said, most programs helping minorities are just a drop in the bucket in terms of solving the issues of the community. We need to take an in-depth look into what our communities fully need in order to get one step closer to racial equity. Back to you, Courtney.
Go live with Patricia, a nurse at Allen.
Hey everybody, I'm Patricia, and today I'm going to be talking about racial equity in the healthcare field. As a nurse, I have a huge role in making sure health equity and racial equity are available. The values that nurses have involving racial equity can be seen and taught through experiences on the floor. As nurses, we have to make sure we are committed to helping eliminate health disparities, help promote health for all people, and support things that contribute to a healthy community. Health equity ensures that each individual has a fair opportunity to live a healthy lifestyle and should not have disadvantages because of things such as gender, race, ethnicity, neighborhoods, or social income. As a nurse, we can try to adapt to our patients' needs and requests. For instance, if a patient has no transportation, we will try as a nurse to set them up with some. As a nurse, we can also try to open up more resources nearby for those who have no way to get to them, such as opening up the North Crossing over by McDonald's by Allen College. We as nurses have a role to ensure patients are treated and seen by a health professional equally and doesn't care depending solely on individuals' living situations, money problems, or race. An amazing fact I found was even though white women are more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer, African American women are more likely to die from the disease because of health disparities. There are many things a community can do to be more involved with helping with racial equity. We must remember that no matter the type of change doesn't always occur in a straight line. There may be bumps in the road that can change your course of actions when trying to make a change. In order for change to occur, it is in the community's best interest to connect with other organizations and partnerships to obtain racial equity as quickly as possible. Organizations could work together to put on free health screenings throughout the community, free flu shots, community education, such as going door to door and having free education to patients who do not know more information. This applies to community around us because around Waterloo there is an increase in poverty, low literacy levels, and much more. Racial equity is just another thing people in Waterloo deal with and on a daily basis. Many people around the Waterloo area are in a lower income family and may not have cars to access the nearest hospital. For some, it could be too far and they don't have the proper resources available to achieve the proper health care. In Waterloo, you could see a larger racial equity matter more than perhaps a small town like Jessup. There is a larger gap in different races in the Waterloo population. More African Americans in Waterloo are seeing the consequences of poor healthcare, money gaps, and poor living needs.
Thank you, Nurse Patricia. As you can see, racial equity affects many communities and even the healthcare field. This is not a topic that is widely addressed, but is a very important one. All people should be given the same opportunity and resources to be successful in their lives. For more information, visit www.racialequityresourceguide.org. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great day, America.
I love KNEC!
Technical difficulties. Hold on.
What is racial I was gonna say with Patricia. I already messed it up.
Are they like sitting outside?
Oh, he just started.
That was probably too early.
I already hit, guys.
Very interesting, Manny.
Sorry. Wait, why is that inside out?
Because it says West High on the other side.
She lives in East Waterloo, people.
Racial.
Back to you, Noelle.
Thank you.
Bum. 3,724. Last part. People don't know it's me, but they can see you. Okay.
What cheetah girls, cheetah sisters?
Totally skipped like 3 lines. I'm sorry! Okay, racial equity. Let's first take a look. Why did I look back there? There's nothing there! Okay. To use, or you. Back to you, Courtney.